Hall of Fame countdown. Carlos Zambrano burned bright, but quickly faded away. USA Today Sports is counting down the top 24 candidates on the 2018 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot in advance of the January 24 election results. The countdown is based on voting by our Power Rankings panel, which includes 5 Hall voters. With his explosive temper and relatively short career, Zambrano hardly strikes the image of the classic Hall of Famer. And indeed, with a ballot full of worthy choices and the ongoing debate about what to do about candidates linked to performance-enhancing drugs, Big Z figures to come up short of the 5% of support required to remain eligible. But his case merits consideration nonetheless because of Zambrano's brilliance during his heyday, his role in the Chicago Cubs' 3 NL Central titles in the first decade of the 2000s, and his prowess as a hitter. Carlos Zambrano may never get a plaque with his likeness in Cooperstown, but he did more than enough to avoid any confusion with Victor Zambrano. The case for, during a 5-year period from 2003-07, Zambrano went 77-45 with a 3.30 ERA, pitched at least 200 innings every season, and finished 5th in the NL Cy Young Award voting 3 times. A 22-year-old Zambrano joined forces with Kerry Wood and Mark Prior atop a rotation that propelled the Cubs to their first division crown in 14 years in 2003, when they got within a victory of the World Series before Bartman, and many other things, happened. Chicago would go on to claim 2 more such titles in that decade as Zambrano emerged into the role of workhorse and staff ace as Wood and Prior faded due to injuries. A 3-time All-Star, Zambrano led the NL in wins in 2006 by going 16-7 with a 3.41 ERA. The hulking Venezuelan was also the top hitting pitcher of his era and one of the best ever, winning 3 Silver Slugger awards and compiling a lifetime batting average of .238 as a switch hitter who loved to swing for the fences from both sides of the plate. His 24 home runs are tied for 7th all-time among pitchers. The case against Zambrano broke into the majors just 80 days after turning 20 and became a regular starter the next year, 2002, but was out of the game by age 31. An excellent athlete despite his girth, 6'4", 275 pounds, Zambrano struggled to control both his pitches and his emotions. He led the league in walks in 2006 and 2007, and in batters hit by a pitch in 2004. Though his stuff was good enough to limit batters to a .236 career average, Zambrano couldn't always parlay that ability into success. His 132-91 record and 3.66 ERA put him in the company of Ramon Martinez and Jason Schmidt in Baseball Reference's similarity scores. X factors: Zambrano's volcanic temper often wore thin with umpires, opponents and even teammates. In 2007 he engaged in a dugout scuffle with battery mate Michael Barrett that spilled into the clubhouse and sent the catcher to the hospital. 3 years later, Zambrano got into another dugout confrontation with a teammate, this time respected first baseman Drek Lee. That encounter led the Cubs to suspend him indefinitely. That was the middle season of a stretch in which Zambrano was suspended 3 years in a row. The one in 2011, following a mid-August blow-up after giving up 5 home runs, lasted the rest of the season and ended his tenure in Chicago. The Cubs traded him after the season. Even in his defense, then teammate Alfonso Soriano said this about Zambrano: "At least every year he does something that hurts the team. At least once every year. But he's not a bad person. He's got to calm down his emotions in the game." Consensus: the fire that burned inside Zambrano often raged out of control and eventually got extinguished at a relatively early age. He was a terrific pitcher in his prime, which didn't last nearly long enough to make him Hall-worthy.